In an age of skyrocketing divorce rates, is it really possible to make love last? Welcome to the Falling in Love Forever show with Doctors Barbara and Michael Grossman, the well-known relationship experts and best-selling authors of The Marriage Map book. Each week, they share the latest information to help you enjoy your romantic partnerships so you can fall in love forever. Here are your hosts, Doctors Barbara and Michael Grossman.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Grossman.
I'm Dr. Barbara Grossman.
We're the authors of The Marriage Map, the road to transforming a marriage from ordeal to adventure. And today we're going to talk to you about why is marriage so complicated? Why is it so difficult? Why is all this complexity occur in marriage? And what you need to do about it to make it uncomplicated and fun like it used to be. So the thing that you have to be aware of is that you're very different than your partner in different ways and for different reasons. One issue is that men and women are just born differently. A man's brain is different than a woman's brain. Men are born with lots of testosterone. Women are born with a lot of estrogen and progesterone. This affects the brain. The brain structure of a man and woman are different. We used to think 20 years ago that, well, it's just all social kind of stuff, that men and women are different just for social reasons. But now we know that it's physiological. A man's brain is separate in the middle. We have a left and right side. They don't talk to each other very much. It's very separate, compartmentalized. And when a man thinks about things, he's very focused on what he's focused on. And it's the way his brain works. A woman's brain is very connected. Left and right sides are very connected. The emotional side is very connected to the analytical side. And this shows up in all kinds of ways that make men and women different. You see women eating in a restaurant, having lunch together, and their talk is random and it just goes from this way to that way and goes in and out of this. And they talk about family, talk about work, talk about sports, talk about news, and different things happen, pop up, and it just doesn't seem to be a logical flow of what they're discussing. You see the men at the next table, they're sitting together and talking, and they have logical discussions about, well, let's talk about sports, or now we're going to talk about the news, and now we're going to talk about the economy. And it just flows like that. That's what they do. It's based upon a man and a woman's brain structure. You can't expect your husband or wife to experience and talk and think the way you do. It's not going to happen because your brains are different. You have a newborn baby. A boy baby looks at moving objects and just focuses on moving objects, loves moving objects. Girl babies are focused on the face. They just love to focus on your face. And it comes out of the structure of the brain is different from newborn babies on. So this is something you have to understand is differently. You can't blame your partner for not being more like you. They're not going to be more like you because they're different than you. You've got to get that. It's very important. Well,
So this is meant to be good news, but when you first get together, usually we accentuate our affinity. That's how we make connection. And depending on how old we are, what part of life we're at, if we're very young in our 20s, we're not as formed. We live in that period of time where our affinities are more accentuated. And then as we define ourselves, we get into more differences. And if our lives are going in the same parallel direction, if we're as partners, if we're both working and coming home to a relationship or to a family life that someone else is managing, like a nanny or a childcare, then we grow in a certain parallelism. And we can get to a place where we're very defined in our profession. We feel very competent and confident. We feel very individualized and self-respect becomes very important. And so our differences emerge in that way, that we each want respect and we have our opinions and we want what we want. And that's the beginning of change in our relationship. And if you don't understand that, it's very easy to take that as meaning something terrible about our relationship, when in fact we're just growing and we're defining ourselves more. Now the picture is much different if one of us stays home and as a domestic partner and the other goes to work. That's something that's an imbalanced kind of relationship. We're in very different places. The domestic partner is all about connection and caretaking, and the person who goes to work is more of a warrior. They're out defining themselves. They're making a difference, trying to make a lot of money, bearing the responsibility of providing. And so the mentality is different. There's much more individuality developed in the warrior partner, and much more connection-oriented in the partner who's at home. And in that situation, the needs are different and the conversation is different, and there's likely to be some tension because you're not on the same page as you used to. And again, another possible variation is that both partners grow into that warrior stage. You're both doing your growing in confidence and becoming successful and accomplished and feeling like you're well-defined and you deserve respect because you've been working hard. And that's a time when conflict occurs because there's differences from that point of view. You just feel very strong about your point of view. And this is inevitable in all relationships. One way or another, you will become aware of how different you are and the tension will grow. And if you don't learn to talk about it in a constructive way, what happens is you don't connect, you disconnect, and resentments grow. And when resentments start to build, it becomes a very difficult situation for your partnership. And we want you to know we understand that, and we want you also to know that it's inevitable. And you need skills to be able to resolve those resentments and learn about each other so that you can respect each other's differences.
So accepting that you're different from each other is real critical. And that uncomplicates relationships. Because then, as Dr. Barbara is suggesting, instead of blaming the other person for being thoughtless and uncaring, you understand that, oh, you have a different way of experiencing the world than I do. Oh, you're not doing it to torture me and be mean. You're doing it because you have your own things going on that are very different than what I have going on. And this idea of sharing with each other in a way that you can have your partner understand that you're so different than they are. And then both of you have to make requests of each other in ways that allow you to feel loved by each other. Because what makes me feel loved would be different than what makes Barbara feel loved. So some examples. We each have different experiences from early childhood that structures what our sensitivities are and how we feel loved and how we don't feel loved. So my experience of being a young kid, so let's say I'm about 8 years old and my mom comes home from work with my dad in the family store, and it's 8 o'clock at night, and she expects the house to be neat. So I'm an 8-year-old kid. And my mom comes home, and if the house is not perfectly neat, she's upset. So I'm really careful to do everything I can to keep the house neat. I'm 8 years old. So I clean everything that I can, and I take a little water and I leave the glass in the sink, take a little more water, leave the glass in the sink, and it's a perfectly clean glass. And I just leave it in the sink so that my mom doesn't get upset that I make a mess. And my mom comes home and she starts screaming, "How ungrateful you are. I work all day and you just leave this glass in the sink. You can't put it out in the strainer." I didn't know I was supposed to put in the strainer. I thought just this was a good way to do it, but I didn't know. But she went on screaming how ungrateful I was for about an hour, really loud. And I felt traumatized emotionally by this kind of event. So when Barbara says gently to me that I didn't do something right, that I should know to clean up this or to put that away or whatever, I feel like I'm being overwhelmingly blamed for something. So Barbara has learned that my request to her is that she should be very gentle when she corrects my behavior, because I am really sensitive about that kind of thing, that I'm willing to try to do things to keep neat and so on, but got to do it in a way that doesn't touch my wound. So that's the way I am. I'm so different than her. She has different experiences and different traumas. We all have that. And we have to share our traumas with our partner and ask them for behaviors that they can do that kind of calm that wound.
So what is Michael talking about? He's saying his needs may be different, but also his needs may come from a very hurtful memory that makes a sensitivity just a deep, deep place that I have to understand and learn how to interact about, so that so when I want something or I'm trying to talk to Michael, I won't step on that hurt, that old hurt that has him feeling like he's that 8-year-old boy. Again, we all have that those sensitivities, and we need to learn to communicate them. And sometimes we're not even aware they're there until we feel them in adulthood, and we connect the dots and we realize, oh my gosh, that experience back then really is significant, and it's something that I need to take seriously and communicate to my partner. This is what takes care of me, and if you love me, you'll treat me like this way. And that's a deep conversation partners need to have about a number of things, because we all have a number of sensitivities that need to be completely understood.
So another thing I had to learn about Dr. Barbara was that she has deep sensitivities about being left out and being abandoned. It comes from early childhood, from when she was 2, when she was 8, and different abandonment experiences that she's had personally. She lost her natural father and lost her grandmother and so on. So when here I am traveling on a trip and going on an airplane for business, and she asked me to call her on the phone because she needs to hear from me. But I'm busy. I don't have time to call on the phone. I'm busy.
And those were the days when there wasn't a cell phone.
That's right. So it's a big deal to find a phone booth to be able to make a phone call. So I thought she just was doing it to torture me. And it took a while for me to realize, no, she's not doing it to torture me. She's doing it because this is her early childhood stuff that went on. And once I got that, I realized, okay, she's not doing it to torture me. It's because she's had these early things happen. And so I can accommodate her and not think that she's just being mean to me. And there's so many of those things that each of us have. And that's what uncomplicates relationship. When we recognize that men and women are different and they're not going to behave like the other one, and don't expect them to think and understand the world the way you do. And they have specific early childhood experiences that you have to learn to accept and then work with each other. So we teach these kind of skills in our Falling in Love Forever marriage class. 4 2-hour classes transforms your relationship with skills that allow you to stay connected to each other and to feel like the other person cares about you, and very practical skills that let you understand each other and how you see the world, and eliminate arguments and eliminate upsets before they occur. So we'd love for you to take our class, Falling in Love Forever. You can go on our website, themarriagemap.com, and look through our classes and sign up for one of the classes. That'll be a delight to do that. So we're happy to have you do that. And you want to say something, my dear?
Just we believe that marriage is an opportunity through your partnership to grow and learn about yourselves, learn how to take care of yourself, how to take care of your relationship, and really find more joy and more wisdom in life. And we We want you to have that, and we wish you love.
And you can also go on to fallinginloveforever.com, or excuse me, fallinginlovesecrets.com, secrets with an S at the end, fallinginlovesecrets.com, to get more information about our classes. So it's a pleasure talking with you. We look forward to speaking to you again. Thanks so much.
Thank you for watching the Falling in Love Forever show with Doctors Barbara and Michael Grossman. Join us next week for another informative discussion to help you keep your love alive. Be sure to visit us at themarriagemap.com or find out about our relationship classes at fallinginloveforever.com.